Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Tuesday evening Bhagavad Gita discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarin Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Once again, welcome everyone to our Tuesday evening Bhagavad Gita discussion. So last time we started chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita and we discussed the acronym for chapter 6 to remember the overall flow of chapter 6. So the acronym for chapter 6 we used is EASY, EASY. So the first section of chapter 6 talk about the mind, the nature of the mind. It is enemy or friend. The mind could be our enemy also and mind could be our friend also. And Lord Krishna says somebody who has controlled over his mind, the mind becomes as a friend. But whose mind remains uncontrolled, mind is our biggest enemy. So, and mind is the cause of bondage in this material world. It is the mind which is attached to sense objects, sense gratification that causes the bondage in this world, and mind which is free from this sense attachment, sense enjoyment propensity, that mind becomes the cause of our freedom. And then the next section is A. A means Ashtanga Yoga, where Lord Krishna is describing now the Ashtanga Yoga process, particularly for the yogis who are karma sannyasis. They have renounced the world, and these karma sannyasis, they mostly engage in the process of Ashtanga Yoga, Hatha Yoga. And how this Ashtanga Yoga process is performed. So Lord Krishna talk about that. And then the next section, EAS, S is success or failure. So if somebody is not able to get complete success in this path, what is the goal? What is the destination of that person? So Arjuna asked that question. So Lord Krishna is going to answer that. And then Y is yogi. Lord Krishna will describe who is a real yogi. What does a real yogi mean? So that is the overall flow of chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. And we discussed first 8 verses last time. The last 3 verses, 7, 8, and 9, these 3 verses talk about the equal vision, equanimity of mind. And what are the symptoms of somebody who has that equanimity, who is self-controlled? So what does that person, how does that person behave? So text number 7 was Lord Krishna is talking about equanimity in terms of handling the dualities of life in the sense heat and cold, fame and infamy, loss and gain. So those kind of dualities of life, and these dualities relate to our body, our mind, and our ego. Okay? Because there are some dualities which are experienced because of body, like heat and cold. Some dualities are experienced because of mind, fame and infamy. And text 8, Lord Krishna then talk about the equal vision of a person, how such person treat different objects. Okay, so he see every object equally. Object means either it's gold or stone. He considers everything equally. So what does this equal vision means? That treating both objects equally means, say, something which can be utilized in the service of the Lord, either it's gold or stone, it's equal value. And something, if it is not used in the service of the Lord, no matter how valuable that may be materially, but for a self-realized person, that is just like a stone, or what you call as dust. So if somebody has a lot of wealth, gold and pearls and diamond, but if he's not using that wealth in the service of the Lord, that gold, pearls, gems itself also is like dust. And sometime the sand, the rocks, if that is going to be used in the service of the Lord, that also can be valued like the gold. So that is the equal vision means, that considering all the objects in the service of the Lord. Now, text number 9, Lord Krishna is going to talk about the equal vision of a person in terms of treating different people. So treating different objects is one thing, but then treating different people also with equal vision, what does that mean? So one more important thing to understand here is, when we talk about the spiritual knowledge, it means first ears are engaged, right? We hear through our ears, and then from the ears it should go to the head, means we need to contemplate, we need to introspect. So we hear through the ears, then it go to the head to introspect, and then from the head it goes to the heart. Heart means then practical application, realization. That's how the overall hearing process work. So we should not hear just like the hogs and dogs, because they also have long ears but they don't understand much. So we also may hear so many things from so many places, but then it does not register much in our heart. It's of no value then, because we do not give much thought after they enter into our ear. But spiritual knowledge means we hear it through our ears, then we introspect using our intelligence, our brain, and then we realize it and put it into practice. So that is the process of hearing. And realization means when mind accepts something, yes, it is true. Realization is basically the reality which we accept it to be a reality, right? Otherwise we may hear and theoretically we may accept, like, okay, um, this material world is a place of misery. We may theoretically accept it, but realization mean when intellectually we accept it, yes, it is true, right? So now text number 9, Krishna is speaking about equal perception towards people. So that very interesting verse, very nice verse. So many different words are used here. So Krishna says, Suhran mitra are udasina madhyestha dveshay bandhushu sadhva api cha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards his honest well-wisher, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, mediator, the envious, friend and enemy, the pious and the sinner, all with an equal vision, all with an equal mind. So all these different words are used here. What these different words mean? So Suhrad means our very intimate well-wisher. And then Mitra means our formal friend. Right? Sometimes people may be friend in terms of gain and loss. Okay, you do this to me and then I will do this to you. So that's kind of as a casual friend. Then Ari means enemy, who is having a inimical attitude towards us. Udasina, who is neutral. He has nothing to do with us. Just somebody walking on the street, you don't know him, he doesn't know you, neutral towards you. And then madhyastha. Madhyastha means mediator. Sometimes we have mediator who try to make allies between two people. Two people have some disagreement, and there is a mediator who tries to make negotiation. Then dvesha. Dvesha means envious person who is having so much of envy towards you for some reason. And then bandhushu. Bandhushu means our relative. Sadhu means a virtuous person, and papi means a sinful person. So Krishna says somebody who is having equal attitude, equal vision towards all these different type of people, that is even more advanced person in self-realization. Now, what does this really mean to be samabuddhi, like having the equal mind, equal vision towards all these different people? How can we equal towards our relative and towards our enemy also? Right, so here equal vision means for giving knowledge. We should having equal vision towards everybody. it, when it is when it is about showing compassion towards other, and the real compassion is to give them the real knowledge. So in that aspect one should be equal to everybody. Now, but when you want to receive knowledge from somebody, then you do not apply that equal vision that, oh, I can receive knowledge from anybody and everybody. At that time we have to make our little discrimination and judgment. And difference between discrimination and judgment is, discrimination means what is beneficial for me and for my service towards Krishna, right? So I want to discriminate. I don't want to do something which is not beneficial for me. And we discussed about this, right? That level of discrimination is good. We don't want to discriminate between people based on the gender, caste, age, and all that, but discrimination in the sense what is beneficial for me. If I do this, this is good for me. If I do that, that's bad for me. And judgment means labeling people based on all these different other criteria, as I said, based on age, gender, sex, all these different things. So we should have little discrimination how to behave with different people when it comes to my own service to Krishna. If associating with somebody is beneficial for me to progress in Krishna consciousness, then it is good. But if it is going to hinder my own spiritual life, then I want to stay a distance, keep a distance from that person. So we need to have that sort of discrimination. But in general, one should be compassionate to everybody. So Krishna here describes this process of equal vision towards different people. Now, text 10 onwards, Krishna is going to speak about the Ashtanga Yoga process, because Krishna talked about the importance of controlling the mind, that mind should be controlled, and who has controlled the mind, that is the best friend, and that person is in a liberated state. Now, how to control the mind? For a karma yogi, karma yogi, we discussed in chapter 5 how they control the mind by being detached from sense enjoyment, being free from this likes and dislikes, desires, anger, sort of things. And then for a karma sannyasi, how they control the mind? Through the process of Ashtanga Yoga, which includes Dhyana Yoga, which is practice of meditation. So Krishna explains this ancient path as it was practiced in previous yugas like Satya Yuga. In Satya Yuga, primary process of self-realization was the Ashtanga Yoga process, Dhyana process. In Treta Yuga, the capacity to perform this Ashtanga Yoga was reduced. Still, some people continue to practice this Ashtanga Yoga process. Coming to Dwapar Yuga, this further reduced. Very few people were able to practice this Ashtanga Yoga. Now in Kali Yuga, there is no possibility of performing this Ashtanga Yoga process actually. Why? We will see in the next set of verses how Krishna is saying what is the requirement, prerequisite to perform this Ashtanga Yoga process. So Krishna will describe that one has to live in seclusion, practice celibacy, follow strict regulations of eating, sleeping, and yogi should sit in a complete perfect erect position, focusing his consciousness on the supreme soul within. So despite there may be mental and bodily distractions, the yogi would meditate in that for so long time, for many years, maintaining that stillness and complete silence. So that is the Ashtanga Yoga process now Krishna is going to describe. And in the Ashtanga Yoga process, there are 8 limbs, Ashtanga, right? Ashtanga means the 8 limbs of this yoga process. And what are these 8 limbs of this yoga process? Yama, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, then Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So these are the 8 processes. Now, Yama means um, restrictions, what not to be done. Niyama means some observances, what should be done. Asana means some physical postures. And then pranayam means the breath control. Pratyahara means eating control, withdrawing the senses. Dharana means concentration. And then dhyana means meditation. And samadhi is pure contemplation. So these are the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga process. Now, in text 10 onwards, Krishna is describing how this Ashtanga Yoga process to be practiced. Yogi junjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthita ekaki yata chittatma nirashir aparigraha. So translation, a transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from the desires and feeling of possessiveness. So let's talk about this verse here. What are the things Krishna is saying here? So Krishna is saying a transcendentalist. He should live in a secluded place. Rahasi sthitaha. So Rahasi is in a secluded place. Ekanta sthan. So first of all, the yogi should go to an ekanta sthan, secluded place. And that also ekaki, alone, not in a group of people. Right? It's not that, okay, tell the whole family, let's all go to this forest camping area and we will do some meditation there. So Krishna is saying first thing is ekaki place means the secluded place. Then ekaki means alone. Okay, just one person. One should be alone, not even 2 people. One should be alone. And then nirashir. Nirashir means without being attracted by anything else, not having any asha that, okay, I am living in a secluded place alone, somebody will come and bring food for me. So not having any asha, any kind of expectation from anybody. And okay, if nobody is bringing food, then how do I manage? Maybe I should accumulate so I can sustain for few days. No, Krishna says aparigraha, free from feeling of possessiveness. One should not even think that, okay, let me accumulate for 1 week, 10 days so I can sustain myself. So that is the requirement how one should perform this Ashtanga Yoga process when somebody want to go to that highest stage of Dhyana, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. So these are the different elements of Ashtanga Yoga which Krishna is describing here. Go to secluded place, alone, internally concentrate your mind, free from attraction to other things, and free from possessiveness. So we can apply some of these principles in our Bhakti Yoga process also as a practicing devotee, that when we want to engage in our chanting process, we want to internally concentrate, right? And free from possessiveness means the applying the principle of Yukta Vairagya. We don't want to apply the principle of Falgu Vairagya, that artificially just rejecting everything. Better is whatever we have, we want to engage that in the service of the Lord. Okay, I have this nice house. Yes, I can use this also in service of Krishna. I have this laptop and cell phone. I can use these also in service of Krishna, making some nice presentation, sending some nice Krishna conscious message to others, keeping others also kind of enthusiastic, motivated. So we can utilize this principle of Yukta Vairagya, that is free from possessiveness, rather than utilizing these things for our own personal satisfaction or personal gratification. And then in Ashtanga Yoga process, if we see, there is physical aspect and psychological aspect. Okay, so physical aspect means this Hatha Yoga process, which Krishna is describing the first four stages. Okay, Yama, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam. So that is the Hatha Yoga process. That is physical aspect. Actually, the first five stages, Pratyahara also. So those first five stages are for the physical aspect. And then the next three stages are for the psychological aspect, which is Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi, which is to concentrate, meditate, and now getting into the stage of deep contemplation. So if we see in our devotee circle, some devotees also do yoga, okay, for health reasons, for health purpose. But somebody doing only yoga in the sense of these asana, pranayam, etc., that is for physical purpose only, that should not be mistaken as spiritual. One should not think, oh, I'm doing spiritual activity while doing this asana or pranayam kind of system. That is just for physical aspect only. And why earlier the yogis will perform these steps also, because for them to be able to sit for that longer duration of time, because dharana, dhyana, and ultimately samadhi means somebody have to sit in that posture for long time to be able to concentrate on the supreme law. And the yogis will sit for months and years together. So to develop that level of stamina to sit for that long and concentrate, they have to practice this asana, pranayam, pratyahara system also, right? To regulate their mind and senses. But somebody just doing these activity and thinking, oh, we are doing spiritual activity, that is mistaken. So yes, as devotees, we do our chanting, we do our hearing and reading. Along with that, devotees also do practice of this asana, pranayam, etc., for health purpose and to kind of help the bring the mind under control, to focus the mind, to concentrate. So in that aspect, it is okay. Now, further, text 10, 11 and 12, Krishna explained further how this Ashtanga Yoga process is performed. So Krishna says, शुचौ देशे प्रतिस्थाप्य स्थिरम् आसनम् आत्मनः न अति उच्चरितं न अति नीचम् चैलिजिन कुशो कुशोत्तरम् तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यथा चित्त इन्द्रियः क्रियः उपाविश्याश्यसे युञ्ज्याद् योगम् आत्मा विशुद्धये. Translation. So to practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point. Okay, so again, very strict practice here. Krishna says, go to a secluded place and then lay down the kusha grass. Seat should not be too high nor too low. And kusha grass should be covered with a lion or deer skin. And so here, up to this point, so there are both externals and internals also. Text 11, most of the things which Krishna is saying about controlling the external environment. And text 12, whatever things Krishna is saying, control your mind, senses, then purify your heart, etc. That is focuses on more on the internal. So why a seat should not be too high or not too low? So if the seat is too high, there is a risk of falling down, right? If in case somebody sitting on that too high seat and while practicing some asana or even in a dhyan state, if somebody feel drowsy and he may fall down. So seat should not be too high and seat should not be too low also, in the sense if it is too low and the person is sitting in dhyan, some wild animal may come and attack that person. So seat should not be too high nor too low. And the kusha grass should be covered with a lion or deer skin. Why? Because the person is sitting on that kusha grass seat and there may be some ants, some little worms or bugs there in that kusha grass. They may bite the person and it will also disturb his meditation. So that's why when the yogis they put the deer skin or lion skin on that kusha grass, because that repels all these insects. So that is the reason the yogis will have the asan with deer skin or lion skin. And one of the principle of our yoga is ahimsa. Okay. And when we say the seat should be covered with lion skin or deer skin, now it does not mean one has to kill the lion or deer to get their skin, but they receive that skin of that animal when that animal naturally dies, not committing violence for them to be able to get their asan. So that is not the purpose. And then Krishna says, Upavishayasane yunjat yogam atma vishuddhaye. It means one should be purifying one's heart, clarifying one's heart, and control the action of the mind and the senses. Now, Dhyana Yoga, in that this is there, this step to be followed, but we can apply this in our Bhakti Yoga process also, right? While we are engaging in japa and engaging in our chanting to focus the mind, and the ultimate purpose of japa is to purify our heart. So these verses can be applied in our sadhana bhakti also, either directly as it is or with slight modification. These can be applied, like whatever is from these aspects of Ashtanga Yoga can be taken and applied into our process of chanting, like sitting straight while chanting. Try to sit straight and eyes not fully open, not fully closed, trying to focus on one point and vibrating the holy name. So some of these things can be applied in our japa practice also. And then text 13 and 14, Krishna further speak about this Ashtanga Yoga process. And again, in text 13 and 14, Krishna, some things are related to externals and something Krishna is mentioning which is related to internals. So let's read text 13 and 14 also. Samam kaya shirogrivam dharayan achalam sthiraha Samprekshya Nasikagram Swam Dishas Chanala sorry Dishas Chanala Valokayan Prashantatma Vigatabhira Brahmachari Vrate Stitaha Manah Samyama Machitto Yukta Asita Matparaha. Translation: one should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind devoid of fear, completely free from the sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. All right, very strict principles mentioned here again for somebody who want to practice this yoga system. So sitting straight, erect, and what is the object of the eyes? Either focusing on the tip of the nose on or one's, it sometimes says focusing on one's eyelids kind of thing also, right? Or between the eyebrows, just focusing between the eyebrows. So that is the object of the eyes. Ultimate purpose is that one should not be distracted by external objects. One should look at something which is uninterested to the eyes, something not very interesting object. So it means one should not go on sightseeing. Okay. So sometimes we in japa principle also, applying this in japa also, where to focus while we are chanting. So we say Either one can keep eyes half closed and try to just stare in between the eyes or the nose and chant the holy name, or one can look at the deity of the Lord, right, and chant in that way, trying to focus on the Lord rather than looking here and there on different objects. And the place where you are sitting and chanting, actually, that place should be free, not like too occupied with too many different things. The reason is, if it is too occupied with so many things there in that room, your attention will be distracted looking at all these different things. So the room should be pretty empty with maybe a small altar there where you can focus on the Lord. And sometimes devotees go on japa walk also. So japa walk is okay if somebody have problem, they cannot sit for a long time and chant. That's fine. They can stroll in the room in a small distance or outside also. They can go for a walk, but mind or the eyes should not be distracted looking here and there, kind of going into sightseeing. And japa walk means it's better to go on the same route or the same path every day, which is so that you know, okay, this path, and there is no surprises or something where you are expecting something new coming, right? You are familiar with that road, just straight road going and coming back. So in that way it's okay, but one should be very careful not getting into sightseeing while going for a japa walk. So we can apply some of these principles into our bhakti yoga process also. And the another point Krishna is saying, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, and completely free from sex life, celibacy, brahmacharya. The word Krishna uses is the vow of brahmacharya, because it is meant to help one completely abstain from sex indulgence at all time, under all circumstances. Without that, no one can perform correct yoga practice. Okay. So now, if we compare all these rules and regulation which Krishna is talking about, or all these different prerequisite which Krishna is talking about for performing this Ashtanga Yoga process, now all these people who go to different yoga studios, okay, how many of them are really practicing yoga system, right? The people who claim, oh, we are doing some sort of yoga practice. How many of them are really doing the yoga system? They may be doing little bit portion of this yoga as their physical exercise, but the real purpose of yoga, Krishna says, is focus on me. That is the real purpose of yoga, that one should purify the heart, one should control the mind and senses, and make me the object of their focus. So if somebody is not having that goal to focus on Krishna in their heart, then they are not really performing the yoga system. And in Kali Yuga, it is not even possible to perform this Ashtanga Yoga process. First of all, there are no secluded places. Can we find any secluded places these days? Even somebody claims that, oh, I will go to a remote area, kind of in the forest area and all that. Still, you don't find peaceful environment there. Why? Because there's some flight going zoom, zoom. Every few minutes, some flight will go above your head, anyways. And so you cannot find a secluded place. You will be keep distracted by all these things. And then uh, people, for somebody to go alone for many days at one particular place is not possible here in Kali Yuga. And then performing all these severe practices of sitting alone with a erect posture for so long, based on the physical ability and our current duration of life in this Kali Yuga, that's also not possible. So really performing this Ashtanga Yoga process is not possible, as Arjuna will also mention later on, that this process seemed to be impossible to practice. And so all these requirements Krishna is listing here. And then text number 15, Krishna talk about again control of the body, mind, and activities, and how that can be done by following the Yama and Niyama. So, as I said, the first 5 limbs of this Ashtanga Yoga process are to control the mind, body, and our activities by the practice of Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pratyahara, Pranayam. And these Yama, what are these Yamas? So there are particularly 5 Yama. Okay? Yama means what not to be done. So one should not do violence, one should not speak lies, one should not steal, one should not engage in sex indulgence. Basically, one should follow brahmacharya, and one should not do certain things which could hinder his future, which will impact his future. So to avoid these, there are 5 activities which is called ahimsa, right? Ahimsa, one should follow the principle of ahimsa. One should follow satyam, truthfulness. One should follow the principle of asteya. Asteya means not stealing. And one should follow brahmacharya, and one should follow aparigraha. So these 5 things are related to yama. And then there are 5 niyama. Niyama means what to be done further. So these 5 yama were related to something which need to be avoided, certain things which we want to avoid. After avoiding certain things, now there are certain things which we want to do as some positive engagement, positive activities. So those are niyama. So there are 5 niyama in particular. And what are these 5 niyama? Shocha, Santosha, Tapa, Swadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranidhan. Pranidhan. So Shocha means cleanliness. One should practice the external cleanliness and as well as internal cleanliness. Then Santosha. Santosha means having that sense of satisfaction. Tapa means performing austerities. Swadhyaya means self-study of scriptures, not self-study of mundane literature as magazines and newspaper and all. So Swadhyaya relates to studying of the scripture. And then Ishvara Pranidhan means surrender to the Supreme Lord, having that mood of surrender. So these are the 5 yama and 5 niyama. And then when we perform these yama and niyama, what is the benefit of those? When somebody follows ahimsa, right, that I will not do violence towards others. As a result of that, others give up their enmity towards us, because as a law of nature, what goes around comes around. If we practice the follow of ahimsa towards other living entity, then the nature reciprocate in that way that others give up their enmity towards us, right? Their hinsa towards us. And then satyam, when we practice satyam, speaking truthfulness, and then one is endowed with this strength that whatever we say, that comes true. How the sages have this power of giving the boons, that whatever they will say, that will come true because of practice of satyam. If somebody has practiced satyam, the principle of satyam, for long enough period of time, then they are endowed with this power that whatever they say will come true. So their boons, but whenever they grant some boon, it will come true. And then asteya. Asteya means when we do not have that propensity of stealing, then the true wealth shall come to us. Whatever is the true wealth, then we gain those the divine qualities. So that is the true wealth. So that true wealth will come. Then brahmacharyam, when somebody follow the principles of brahmacharya, they attains power, right? They are able to gain so much of they are able to conserve their vital energy, and they gain so much of power. It says somebody following the principle of brahmacharya, their memory becomes so strong. Earlier, we know there used to be some shrutidhar, that once they hear, they remember. Once they have just read book something, they will remember, and they can tell which page what is written. How these kind of powers come, how these kind of ability come? By practicing of brahmacharya, when they conserve their vital energy. And then aparigraha means being able to see what kind of karmic causes, what are the karmic causes of our current situation are, and as well as what our present action will impact our future. how our present action can impact our future. One is able to look through those things. So aprigraha, those are the insights one gain. So these are the benefits of following this, some of the Yama and Niyama principle. And then in terms of mind control, as we said, Krishna is talking about mind control, sense control, and controlling our activities. So in mind control also, there are 5 stages. What are these 5 stages in mind control? The initial first stage is mudha. Mudha stage is when somebody is completely in delusion. He is sleepy, laziness, dullness. So in that state, there is no mind control, right? That is the mudha state. Then kshipta. Kshipta means somebody agitated. He's in a stress, maniac. Somebody is in a stressful situation. That is kshipta. And then vikshipta. Vikshipta means distracted. Distracted means he's distracted to so many different things. Somebody is trying to listen to the lecture, but then distracted by some other noisy environment or something. So that is vikshipta. Then fourth situation comes ekagrata, concentration. Somebody during the exam now seriously trying to study, right? Seriously trying to do some revision just before, half an hour before the exam. So that is ekagrata, being focused on that task at hand. And then fifth stage is nirodha. Nirodha means controlled. When the mind is completely controlled from the external disturbances also and from the internal disturbances also, means one goes into the state of samadhi. So that is nirodha. So these are the 5 stages in mind control. And ultimately, yes, in the beginning, right now, somebody may be in mudha state, completely dullness, laziness, he doesn't know what's happening. But ultimately, we want to go to the stage of ekagrata and nirodha. Now, these 5 stages, if we see in the example of somebody trying to study, let's say throughout the year, one does not even study at all. Okay, he is completely lazy, dullness. So that is mudha state. And then just before exam, now one is panicking. Oh, I haven't studied. I don't know what to study. What is going to be in the exam? I don't even know the content, the syllabus. So that is agitated state now, in a stressful state. That is kshipta. And then vikshipta means now somebody is trying to study, but now he gets distracted by something coming on the TV, some movie coming, some songs going on, or outside somebody is honking or something. So those are all distractions going on. Vikshipta state. And then one says, no, no, I have to focus now. Only one day left before exam. I need to study. So he try to focus. Somebody is even trying to talk around him. He is not paying attention. He is focusing on his study. That is ekagrata. And finally, one may be able to completely control one's mind and get completely absorbed, right? Like just before the final hour of exam. That is nirodha. So same way we can see these 5 stages in our chanting situation also. Okay, you want to listen how these 5 stages may be going in our chanting also? So the first stage mudha is somebody is thinking, "Okay, abhi to bahut samay hai. I will do chanting later. Okay, today is Sunday. I have so much time. I can do chanting later also, in the afternoon also, or in the evening also." So he's just spending his time checking messages, doing this and that. That is the mudha state. Okay, dullness, laziness. And then as the evening is coming up, then he's panicking. Arey, all 16 rounds are left. I haven't done anything. I need to do all 16 rounds. So he's panicking now. Mind is getting agitated. So that is the second stage, kshipta. Then vikshipta, he picks up the chanting beat 6 p.m. in the evening and now he's trying to chant. But then mind is getting distracted with so many other things. अरे बच्चों ने खाना खाया कि नहीं खाया. I need to make sure their homework is done, need to pack their school bag or something. So all those distractions are there. Vikshipta. And finally, 9 p.m. now. Things are all so much chanting left. Now I need to focus. I need to sit down in a lonely place and focus now on that. So finally, he's trying to focus. Now that is ekagrata. I need to focus now. I cut down all other things. and then finally thinking, oh, I should focus, I should absorb in that. So that is the state of nirodha. So better than doing that all mudha, kshipta, vikshipta state, rather focus on your chanting in the morning, right? Get into that ekagrata state in the morning. Let me focus first thing first. Let me do my japa, whatever maximum I can do in the morning, and not keep it till 9 p.m., 10 p.m. at night. So we can apply these principles in our chanting process also. So these are the something which Krishna is talking about, the mind control, sense control, and controlling our activities. Now, text number 16 and 17, to be able to control the mind, senses, and activity, text number 16 and 17 are very important. So, two very important verses which are very frequently quoted. Okay, so let's read these two verses or one by one. So, text 16. Na ati अश्नातस्तु न अति अश्नासस्तु योगो अस्ति न चैकान्तम् अनाश्नतः न चैति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव च अर्जुन. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Okay, so that is text number 16. We'll read text 17 also and discuss both together. Then text 17, Krishna says, Yukta ahar viharasya, Yukta cheshtasya karmashu, Yukta swapna abodhasya, Yogo bhavati dukkha. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. So, again, some of the prerequisite Krishna is giving. If somebody want to be successful in the practice of yoga system, what need to be done? One need to be regulated. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi if one is not regulated. Regulated in terms of his eating habits, regulated in terms of his sleeping habits. So that is text 16. Text 16, Krishna is primarily speaking about eating and sleeping, that there is no possibility of becoming a yogi. So if somebody's eat too much, what does that mean? Eating too much means overeating, overindulgence in eating, or even eating things which are not recommended. That is eating too much. So one should eat only food in the mode of goodness. One should not eat the animal, one should not eat anything which is not offered to Krishna. Basically, one should eat only the food in the mode of goodness, and that is also which is offered to Krishna as Krishna Prasad. As in third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we discussed Bhunjate Tetva Agham Papam, Ye Pachante Atma Karana. Somebody who is preparing food for themselves, for their own enjoyment, they are eating sin only. Even though somebody may be eating the food in the mode of goodness only, the food which is in the mode of goodness, like the fruits, milk, products, grains, etc. But still, if that's also not offered to Krishna, that is also sinful only. So our principle is not just to become vegetarian, but our principle is to become devotee, to eat only Krishna Prasad. And so basically no eating flesh at all. Sometimes people say there is some stickers on the back of people's car, on their work desk also. They say, the sticker says, I love animals. Okay, you read that first part of the sticker, you think, oh, this person looks to be an animal lover, maybe vegetarian. But the second part of the sticker is horrible. Okay, what does the second part of the sticker says? I love animals because they are very tasty. So that is what the sticker says somewhere, and this is horrible mindset. So because they taste nice, that's why I love animal, because I want to eat them. That's their mentality. But here, somebody who want to practice the yoga system, she is not eating too much and basically not eating anything which is not recommended, which is going to spoil our consciousness. And one, we don't want to harm anybody, because if you harm anybody, that is going to come back to you, right? So not eating anything which is not recommended, which is not in the mode of goodness, and eating too less also is not recommended, because that is like following the artificial process of fasting, that, oh, I'm going to perform this, what do you call as anshan brata. I'm going to fast till death. People sometimes follow this process of fast till death or anshan brata to get their demands fulfilled. So somebody who is eating too much or eating too less, both are not recommended. And at the same time, we don't want to label somebody that, okay, how much is enough eating? Two chapatis, one bowl of dal, maybe little rice, that is enough. We cannot just label it for everybody, or it's not a cookie cutter approach, because everybody is different and their bodily capacity, bodily need is different. When the Gurukul system was developed, and the devotees who were running this Gurukul system, they asked Srila Prabhupada how much these children should be fed. Prabhupada said the children should be fed 8 ounces of milk for sure, minimum, and each meal, two chapatis, some dal, little rice, that should be the main diet, and that should be enough. Now, it doesn't mean that that is a strict requirement for everybody. There may be some child who is more body build, their bodily need is more. So somebody, if somebody eat 3 chapati, demands one more chapati, and you label that person, hey, you are overeating. No, it's not like that. So one need to see that, yes, what is my requirement, minimum need, that to maintain my body so that I can function optimally. At the same time, one should not overeat, and at the same time, one should not kind of starve himself so that he doesn't have enough energy also to do his service. So eating enough. And Prabhupada gave the system that 50% of the stomach should be uh, filled with the food, 25% with the water, and 25% should be kept empty, left empty, so that the food, whatever is eaten, can be digested. Just an example to kind of make that point. See, when we grind something in the grinder mixer, okay, so Mataji, is when they grind something, you put some tomato, some cilantro or something to make the chutney. Now, if the container of the grinder is filled to the top, okay, there is no space left in that, and you turn on the grinder now, nothing will move, because there is nothing, no space for the all the things to move in that. So there has to be some empty space left. So same way in the stomach, whatever we are eating to be digested, that also some empty space need to be left in the stomach. If somebody is eating till neck here, then they will get into too much of laziness. They cannot digest the food properly, and it will lead to lethargy, laziness, and will not be able to function anything. And when the stomach is filled too much, what happens is the heart is busy pumping the blood to the stomach to provide its needs for digesting that food, and then all the brain or the mind is not getting enough blood circulation, so that also leads to lethargy in the person. So one should eat only kind of 50% capacity, leaving the space for it to get digested, so one is not overeating and becoming lethargic. So Krishna is saying, to be able to practice this yoga system, one should not eat too much. Now, coming to the point of sleeping, one should not sleep too much, and one should not sleep too less. So sleeping too much, of course, is in the mode of ignorance, right? And if somebody is eating too much or eating late at night, then when you sleep, you will sleep also till late. So for that reason also, one should eat less, especially at night. One should eat very less, so they can get up fresh in the morning quickly. When sometimes people say, oh, I don't have enough time for chanting, I don't have enough time for reading, what we need to look into is how much I'm sleeping. Maybe I just need to cut down my sleep by 30 minutes. Maybe rather than 7 p.m., I need to get up at 6:30, 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. Sorry. So one should not sleep too much, and one should not sleep too less also. Means if somebody is sleeping too less, then person will feel tired and sleeping while executing the services, while doing the chanting. So one should sleep also optimally. And Prabhupada said 6 hours as a general principle is enough for somebody to sleep. Again, that's not a hard and fast rule or a cookie cutter approach that everybody should sleep 6 hours. There are devotees who have controlled their body enough, their body is functioning properly even for 4 hours of sleep. And some devotee who have maybe more laborious job, more laborious task throughout the day, maybe they need 7 hours of sleep. Somebody may need even 8 hours of sleep. So there's no again cookie cutter approach. It's based on somebody's individual bodily needs. Somebody need to see how I can function optimally. The ultimate purpose is one need to introspect, not get into laziness states, oversleeping, or artificially sleeping less, because when somebody is sleeping less, their ability to function, or what to say, their efficiency decreases. Even somebody is driving car and they have not slept properly, then they will be feeling dozy, right? They will be feeling drowsy. And it said somebody, if they have cut down their 1 hour of sleep, if they have slept 1 hour less, their chances of getting into a crash is equal to somebody who is drunk. So less sleep becomes equal to kind of drunk driving. Okay, those are scientific studies. So one should sleep also optimally. One need to fulfill the need of the body in that sense. And the timing of sleep also matters. Okay, it's not about just 6 hour or 7 hour sleeping, but what time do we sleep? That also makes a difference. Somebody goes to sleep at 1 o'clock, and if that person sleeps 6 7 hours, getting up at 8, that 7 hour may not also be enough for that person, because the sleep time, the body is doing all the repair work. And for the repair work to happen, the best time is between 9 to 3 or 10 to 4. Okay, so those are the best 6 hours when the body is doing all these internal repair work. So if somebody is not giving the rest to the body during that time, body is not healing. And those late hours sleeping from 1 to 8, 12 to 6, that may not be enough for that person for the body to heal. So the time of sleep also matters. That's why Krishna says one should be regulated in sleeping and in eating habits. If somebody is not regulated in these activities, then one is not able to function properly in this yoga practice. And then text number 17, which we are discussing, Yukta Ahar Viharasya. In these, Krishna is talking about four things: sleeping, eating, recreation, and work. So Krishna says one should be, first 16 verse, Krishna said somebody who is not regulated, he cannot be a yogi. Then 17, Krishna says that's why somebody need to become regulated in these four activities. Yes, one need to regulate his sleeping, one need to regulate his eating. Regulation of eating means eating the right quantity and also at right times. Okay, so the timing of eating also should be regulated, not that okay, anything at any time you can just pick something and put in your mouth. That's also not good. So the eating should be regulated in terms of quantity and in terms of timing. Sleeping should be regulated in terms of the quantity of sleep and the time of sleep. And then recreation. Recreation means, yes, recreation is also the need. The yogi also can get up from his seat and do some recreation. And what kind of recreation is there? Going for a walk, doing little sightseeing, taking a break. That is a recreation. Okay, and doing any sporting activity, that is a recreation. If somebody is maybe going for swimming, somebody is doing little jogging or something, that is also recreation from our point of view also. So we can also engage in recreation. Now somebody may say, oh, I'm sitting in front of the TV watching the TV for 1 hour 2 hour, that is recreation. Now is that really a recreation? Because recreation means something which will remove our um, tiredness, right? That is recreation in one sense. Now watching TV will make more tired. And what we watch, that also matters, right? If somebody is watching very ghastly things, right? So much of violence is shown, so much of crime is shown in that. Now that is not a recreation. Yes, somebody is watching something light thing, some comedy sort of thing, which is also not breaking any regulatory principles, it's okay. So doing little recreation is okay. Some social gathering or just speaking to somebody, sharing your thoughts with somebody, that is all in category of recreation. So recreation is also important, that we need to have little recreational activity. But again, on the name of recreation, one should not get into some activity which will be breaking the four regulative principle, or it is taking too much time away from our main practice. Right? Somebody is just speaking 4 hours on phone on the name of recreation. That then it is too much of recreation. That's why Krishna says recreation also should be regulated. And then work. The fourth thing Krishna says, work should be regulated. One should not become alcoholic. uh, there is one word is alcoholic, which is somebody's drinking intoxication. Another word is workaholic. Workaholic means somebody is just so much consumed by the work itself, like overworking, right? 12 hours, 14 hours. So they are too much into passion for achieving mundane things. So one should regulate one's work, that okay, I'm going to do 8 hours of work. That work is enough for me to maintain myself, my family, and I'm not seeking for some other extra gains by just engaging in work. So one should regulate one's work also. So what are the four things to be regulated? Eating, sleeping, recreation, and work. So if one is able to regulate these things, then one can control one's mind and senses and activities better. So then text 18 onwards will continue in the next session. Krishna is further going to explain more about this Ashtanga Yoga process. Okay, so we'll stop here today. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Okay, let's see if anybody has any comment, any question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Ravishankar.
Yeah, Prabhuji, Pratyahara means what?
Pratyahara means controlling. Ahar means food.
Pratyahara, okay.
Pratyahara means reducing the intake. So when we come to Pratyahara, we think of eating only, right? Controlling one's eating, reducing one's eating. But Pratyahara includes the food for all senses. So
Okay.
ahar for the body is food. But ahar for the eyes is watching something.
Yeah.
Ahar for the tongue is speaking something. Ahar for the ears is listening to something. So reducing the food for all the senses. That is pratyahar, basically regulating the senses.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranayam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhuji, similarly, aparigraha word, isn't this means not collecting more than necessary?
Yes, that also means that not collecting more than necessary. It comes in, I think, Nectar of his instruction also, this word comes.
While discussing, I think, Prabhuji, you were also adding about deciding about future karma, something, I forgot, something related
Right, so
to karma.
that was, I was explaining the 5 Yama and Niyama. Aparigraha. Aparigraha means insights into our kind of present conditions, right? What is my present condition and how my action will impact my future. So parigraha means graha, right? Graha means to collect. So aparigraha means to not over collect in that sense. So looking into the word which I was explaining right now in yamas is how this aparigraha word means is, okay, my present condition is whatever wealth or whatever kind of circumstances I may have, and what kind of activities I want to do and how they're going to impact my future. So to be able to look into those things. So over collecting also means in that way. Over collecting means somebody is over endeavoring for over collecting. In that way, somebody will be losing time from other activities, right? So to be able to see one's present situation, okay, if I do this, then it will affect me in these ways. So that is what aparigraha means.
Okay, Prabhuji, sure. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, otherwise we can end it here. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much.
Hare Krishna, devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Namo Namo.